Alright guys, let's skip the bullshit. Here's the tier list. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's the 5 tiers. Top is must-have. Basically, to play the game at a high level, you're gonna need these picks, right? Then there's really powerful. These are strong picks that are pretty universally good, with the exception of GM Sniper. He's a little bit more specialized, but he's just that strong that you can make him work. Then there's situationally powerful. These are picks that are really good in the specific roles that they're good at, but they might have some weaknesses that make them unsuitable to be played on every single map. And then there's situational picks. These are picks that are going to be outclassed by other picks in the same thing that they do, but they are going to be good enough that if you are better at that character than your opponent is, then you're going to be able to make it work. And finally, there's outclassed, which just means you're going to be worse than the opponents unless your skill difference is so large that you can carry this character. Alright, so now I'm going to hop into explaining each of these Gundams by themselves and kind of showing you why they're in the positions they are. Alright, so first up is Turn A Gundam. Turn A is just outclassed, like straight up. Gundam does the same thing he does, but better. Turn A is a little bit tankier, but only through having straight up health rather than the shield. The charge rifle really has slow DPS output. If you're spraying it without the charge, it does no damage. And the flip, while cool and funny when you hit it, it really fucking sucks. Like, it doesn't work against any competent player who can just dash out of it to dodge it and punish you while you're in the recovery animation. Apart from that, Moonlight Butterfly is pretty decent. Like, it's a good ult, it'll get a lot of damage in, you can get some wipes with it, but you'll get sniped out of the sky by some decent players, and it's not enough to carry this garbage-ass Gundam out of outclass tier. Next up is Guntank. Guntank is a pretty funny character. You can get a lot of damage in, you can rack up some medals, a lot of eliminations because you just have to touch somebody once before they die, but these inflated stats don't cover for the fact that it really doesn't do a lot of damage. Any competent player will outduel you. Even if you hit the rockets into your aimed machine guns, it's really not going to do enough damage to win you a duel. And the charge is a decent mobility tool, but doesn't really give him enough movement to dodge anything in an actual fight, right? After that, this ult is good, Junkrat ult, but you can fly it around. Though I feel as players get better, people are going to snipe it out of the sky. You're not going to be able to do a lot of damage with it once people are actually good at shooting it out. So Gundam Barbatos. This is going to be a pretty hot take, I guess, for the newer players, but after his nerfs from the beta, he had his hitboxes reduced, I believe, and as well with his left click doing significantly less DPS. You really don't do anything apart from jump in, one shot, jump out, right? And even though this could work, there's other characters that get this pick potential, quick damage, better, like GM Sniper, or Zaku even. But the problem is he also has super linear game plans, so if he runs at you, you're just going to take him out, and if he's moving around to dodge your shots while he's moving in on you, he's not going to have enough to guarantee that he lands his one-shot combo, and if he's caught out of position without his one-shot combo, he's absolutely fucked, right? His recharge rate on his right click, it takes a decent bit of time to charge up, so in a fight you're not going to be able to use it more than once. And it's really fucking loud, so anybody wearing headphones is going to be able to just hear him when he's doing it and just back out of the position, right? He just gets kited, he brings nothing to you in a team fight, and in a duel you're just going to get kited, right? So Dom Trooper, I think this pick could go up, but there's just one huge issue for me with him, right? He has the laser, does decent damage, has supporting capability with the armor, as well as mines that kind of deny a position and are really good against newer players who aren't expecting them, but he's inaccurate in the air, which makes no sense to me, right? With a rocket launcher, you want to be looking down at your opponents when you're shooting at them, and if you don't have high ground, you're not going to be able to shoot an enemy. Like, you cannot do damage to an enemy that's above you. which is a really big issue. That's why most games, right, the rocket launcher character has some kind of vertical mobility to be able to splash damage you, but these rockets just don't have that versatility in them. So next up is Ashimar. This pick might seem a little bit weird. I think he could go down to situational. He's really good at poking people out. His flame bomb is really fucking good at just like getting poke and farming damage, farming your ultimate. You're able to float around and be perfectly accurate while in the air, which is really good on larger, more open maps, because a lot of characters in this game are unable to really touch him when he's flying above them at a certain distance. Like, a lot of characters just can't do anything about him. His ult is kind of ass, doesn't really do anything, but it charges up decently quickly, so you can just kind of throw it out whenever you have it, right? Alright, so GM. This pick seems kind of boring. A lot of people probably think this character is kind of ass, but with the shield and the shield bash, you are actually really tanky, right? He has 800 HP at base, but with the shield it goes up to like 2100 effective health as long as you're facing them. And if somebody is diving you, you shield bash stun them. You do a lot of damage up close with the laser pistol, and those headshots really fucking hurt. Apart from that, his molly nade, you just toss it, you burn a bunch of people, get a lot of chip damage in, do a decent bit of just area denial, and then you also have your repair nade, which is really good for just like healing your team back up, getting everyone in a area back up to full HP so they can fight again. You can reset fights much faster than your opponent. Then there's Methus. I think this pick could go up a lot more depending on how prevalent healing and supporting is in the game, because he does a decent bit of damage outside of healing, but his healing is kind of slow and the turret doesn't really mesh with his kit that much, and the flight is not great as just a tool by itself. That said, he's really fucking good at just pumping out damage and basically just getting your Pale Rider, your Sazabi constantly at full HP, constantly having nanos, getting lots of damage in, and keeping them on the front lines without needing to back off to heal, which is a big issue for a lot of these tankier units in the game, or units that want to be sitting on the front line for a long time. So while he may not be the best healer, he's basically the only healer in the game, right? So in terms of this game, having a healer is really powerful as an option. Alright, so next up is Zaku 2. Zaku 2 is really insane. I feel at the highest level he's going to be really strong, capable of just dashing in and out. He permanently has dashes up. He's so hard to hit, so hard to lock down. With the invincibility and the get out of jail free card means he can just go in and out on like a 15-second cooldown. Outputs a shit ton of damage against large bodies if you're hitting those heads. And his ult, while not that great, you charge it so quickly that you can guarantee you win basically any duel. You just dash in, toss out your ult, unload a clip into them, dash out, you've gotten the pick, and the ult really doesn't take that much to build back up. So he's just a really strong pick-based unit that lacks in the range department, but the fact that he can close the gap so fast makes him quite strong. Alright, so Gundam. This is our quintessential, good at everything, not excelling at anything type of character. But actually in this game, he does so much burst damage with the headshots on his rifle. They're really strong at just picking people off, unsuspecting enemies get headshot by him, and then somebody puts a little bit more chip in and they just die. His shield makes him relatively safe at a distance. If you're low, you can get out for free, you can survive. And his flail basically gives you one of the few ways to basically counter a Sazabi. You're actually able to fight against a really strong tanky unit and guarantee a kill if they're just standing there, right? So with that, and his incredible ults that, while shootable, everyone is going to learn to shoot it eventually. It is so good if you know lineups are able to put it on roofs or behind walls. People will not be able to kill it, and it can deny an entire area with basically no counterplay if you know what you're doing. So GM Sniper is my personal main. He's absolutely insane at getting picks. He's more situational than most of the really powerful tier. He actually struggles to fight in a lot of the super enclosed maps or King of the Hill style maps because they tend to be smaller. But that said, if you're on an open map or if you're just that insane, you can just take out entire teams. He just lets you instantly scope in, one tap somebody, and that deletes them from the game, right? You've gotten the value from your pick, and then any extra damage you're getting is just icing on the cake, right? He doesn't do that well against characters like Zaku or even Barbatos. He can't get out once he's dove on, but the fact that he can always threaten the one shot on these characters that are diving him means that it's actually not as bad as you might think. In addition to this, the fact that he can scope in while ulted means that he can just keep bouncing on his jump pad, get insanely off-angled picks that are basically unpunishable for most characters because a lot of characters in this game don't have the range to contest him, right? You need to get up close to wipe him out. So that's why I think he's just that strong, even though he's very limited in close range maps. So Pale Rider is your all-around character. He's actually not that insane in any specific aspect, but the fact that he has a hit scan rifle that lets you pump out insane amounts of damage means that if you're a competent player, you're always going to be topping the damage charts for your team. And this constant chip means that while you're not getting insane picks and one-tapping people out of the map means that people will not be able to fight you because they're always going to be low, they're always going to be looking for health packs, and there's not a lot of healing to go around in the game, so people just need to back off and stall for time a lot of the time when playing against Pale Rider. In addition to that, he just does a shit ton of damage. When he's in Hades and you get a Methus ult on him, he just fucking runs in and rolls your entire team. Like, you can't do anything about him flying around at Mach 2, deleting every character with 3 headshots instantly, right? So the fact that he's hit scan and the fact that he has tools to get diving off of him, like Zaku and Barbatos, he can just slow them down, means that he's going to be really strong in most situations. He's really never a bad pick and kind of a must-have if you're lacking damage in your team comp. So finally, Sazabi, big red one. Can't really say anything about it apart from he does insane amounts of damage up close. He has good mobility with his abilities, actually, even though he only has 1 dash. And he's insanely tanky, like the only tank in the game, right? So you're able to create space for your team, you're able to push through chokes for your team, you're able to cover reses for your team, cover bomb diffuses, bomb plants. You do a shit ton of damage up close, and if you get hit by his magnetic dagger, you're just fucked. Like, you're stunned, he's dashing at you, he's got a shotgun, and you're gonna get shit on, right? The ultimate is not actually that great, but the fact that it kind of just denies an area, gives you a lot of chip damage, means that it can finish off low health Zakus and other hard to hit characters that are dashing around trying to stall out, right? So he's just a really strong overall character that doesn't have any real weaknesses except maybe like on the larger maps you can get domed by GM Sniper, but even in that case you can always play cover and dash up close, so at which point you win against anyone. You win all the duels and you put out the most damage while being the tankiest and hardest to kill in the game. And for some reason he has some kind of support scan through walls for absolutely no reason, like on top of his kit. He offers some kind of support to the rest of his team, which is crazy. List. Here's another look at it again, if you missed that at the beginning. I didn't put the new characters in and some of the characters that were locked from the beta because they haven't been accessible yet, so nobody's been able to play them. So we'll see how they turn out once more people start playing them in ranked.